Stay tuned for Octane, Spawn, Love and Rockets, and more. You're watching Nickel City Scene. I'm Jackie Theron. Welcome to Nickel City Scene. Western New York may not be as famous as Seattle or New York City, but if you want to hear great live music, you're in the right place. Not only do we have a wealth of local talent, but more national recording artists are touring our region. In the next few weeks, you can catch Beck, Tori Amos, Melissa Etheridge, Space Hog, Poe, and I Mother Earth, just to name a few. And of course, Nickel City Scene will be there to bring it to you. Tonight we're going to meet the Buffalo band Octane. You'll see the latest music video from a local psychedelic group, Spawn. We'll preview Edgefest with 103.3 The Edge, plus we'll talk with Gothic rock pioneers Love and Rockets. Buffalo's Octane came together in May of 1995. Their sound comes from a mixing of different musical styles. Lead vocalist Joelle was part of the alternative folk band Hollow Sky. Ed and Brian, who played bass and guitar, moved to Buffalo from Detroit. They came from much harder bands. Chris, the drummer, formerly played with the psychedelic blues band Fuzzy Logic. Scene reporter Therese Angelella met with Octane to learn more.
Why are we always changing faces to whichever one fits us today? What has left us so fearful now to show our inner side? We remain encased in shells, oh, trapped behind our self-built wall. More deconstruction is needed now to...
Tell me a little bit about the band history. How'd you guys get started?
Well, Brian and I came from Detroit, and we were in a band in Detroit, and we put flyers around town looking for other band members, and came across Joelle's flyer and gave her a call, and then a couple months later, Chris stumbled into the mix.
What about your name, Octane? How'd you guys come up with that?
Oh boy. Actually, I think we for weeks and weeks and weeks, we each came in with about 50 names, and we were trying to decide what to use, and we couldn't agree on anything. And finally one night at dinner, we were just sitting there, and Ed says, well, what about Octane? And we all looked at each other, we're like, oh, all right. It wasn't like a name that we really liked, nor like no one hated. So we thought, well, all right, it'll grow on us, and it has. I like it more now than I liked it in the beginning. So,
Ed and Brian are from Detroit, which is much different than Buffalo and the music scene here. So you want to tell us a little bit about how that scene differs in Detroit from Buffalo?
I think the music scene in Buffalo is a little bit friendlier. It was a lot... The bars in Detroit were a little more hostile in dealing with new bands. The bars in Buffalo actually have been, not to just schmooze Buffalo, but they've been very receptive to a new band, and the crowds in Buffalo seem to be receptive to local music much more so. And I think there's a lot more national acts going through Detroit, and we'd be playing at a bar for $5, and then up the street you'd have, Lush or House of Pain or somebody playing for $8, and we had stiffer competition, But the music scene in Buffalo just is generally, I think, a lot friendlier and supportive.
On my way to help out a friend. Thoughts swirling inside my head. What's my purpose and why am I here? In which direction should my face steer? Shit, to the right, the carcass in my path.
Starting to move a little more towards the hardcore, harder songs are starting to become my favorites. It's Brian jumping up and down the last time we played out. When we played Merlin's in car number 3, it just got me pumped up, so.
Well, speaking of car number 3, there's an interesting story behind that song. Would you guys like to tell me about that?
Well, actually, I was going to visit a friend, so I was on the 90 and I was driving, and it's actually a song about a real sort of car accident. I was car number 3, get the title there, and I was the only car in the 7-car crash, or whatever that you want to say, that didn't get hit. I didn't hit anyone else and nothing, and it was just kind of like this song where I kind of wrote about fate and how you really don't know what your purpose is in life, and I made it really deep, like obviously I didn't get hit and I didn't get killed and whatever because I haven't reached my purpose and haven't done what I was put here to do, and so it's just kind of like that. Nothing like real divine or anything, but just like just thinking about, you know,
at church steps at the time.
Yeah.
We did play acoustically at the Coffee Bean Cafe. Boy, that was so much work because at least my parts were all written for, you know, distortion and a lot of noise, a lot of effects, you know. And so then I had to switch over and play an acoustic guitar, and Ed was playing upright bass, and Chris went out and got some congas or bongos or whatever those are. That took so long. It took us like a month just to rework all the songs. Very trying. We can play in Buffalo, we can play anywhere.
If you're lucky, you may be able to find Octane's 3-song demo tape. The band has some shows coming up in the Detroit area, and they plan to start recording a CD soon. When we come back, you'll see the latest video from the psychedelic rock band Spawn. Flat Plane Jets is next on the scene. Welcome back. The Buffalo band Spawn has accomplished quite a bit since making their debut 4 years ago. Their music has been heard on 80 radio stations across the US and Canada. Spawn's latest CD, Everybody Shines, is still available in record stores. The video was shot at Showplace Theater on Grant Street and produced by Spawn's drummer Orbit 5. The video is a psychedelic story of a spaceship crashing into the sun. Here's Spawn with Flat Plane Jets. You can catch Spawn on Saturday, September 7th at the Continental. The band is planning to release a new recording next month on their independent label, Space Cat Records. Spawn also has a song on the Temple of Music CD which features 20 regional bands. Spawn has also been asked to record an album of abstract jazz for meditation. Look for all of these in stores soon. Coming up, we'll check in with Buffalo's new rock alternative to preview Edgefest 96. Stay with us. Over the Edge is next on The Scene.
Hello again, my name is Kit Missel. I do middays on 103.3 The Edge, and this is Nickel City Scene's big Edgefest preview to get you psyched for Edgefest. Remember, it's the 24th of this month, and tickets are only $5, and that's until the day of the show. If you're a slacker and you wait until the 24th, then you're going to have to fork over $10. So go get your tickets now through all Ticketmaster outlets. $5, the 24th, bands like Solution AD, I Mother Earth, Space Hog, and more to be announced. Just tune in to 103.3 The Edge for more details. And of course, always watch Nickel City Scene. You can catch lots of stuff that will help you get dates. Maybe not, but will make you more knowledgeable about music. Right next to me here in all his glory is Lance Diamond. And Lance, every time people talk about you, because I'm not originally from this area, people call you the legendary Lance Diamond. So I must include that in your name. But you excited about Edgefest then, playing Edgefest?
I'm ecstatic. I really am. There's such a lot of talent that's going to be there, and I'm just honored to be a part of it. I really am. I did a show with the Goo Goo Dolls up in Toronto with Jimmy, the guy from Replacements. Who's going to be there with his new band, I believe it is.
Yeah, it's called Perfect.
Perfect, right. And I met him, so I'm looking forward to seeing his new band. And what is it, Mo is going to be there?
Yes, Mo.
Mo is going to be there.
And Hula?
Hula, well, George Goo.
Yes.
Come on, what can you say? I mean, George Teteska, I mean, he's, I'm just proud of and happy for him, you know, so it's going to be a real pleasure to be on the show with him also.
You mentioned the Goo Goo Dolls, and you've done a lot of stuff with them in the past. How did that all start? How did you meet them?
Well, you know, it's really kind of funny. I lived in a building where Robbie moved into, and in my hallway upstairs, I call it a penthouse. It's not an apartment, but I call it a penthouse apartment. And it's like it has a big echo in it, so I would rehearse my songs, and one day he was banging on my door, this guy, and he says, "Aren't you Lance Diamond?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, I'm Robbie from the Goo Goo Dolls." So we came upstairs to my apartment and we just hung out and started talking, and before I knew it, we just hit it off so well. I mean, he's like a little brother to me. All those guys are. I watched them from the conception almost, you know, watched them grow up to be what they are now, and I'm like proud, so proud of them. And
so in the typical Lance Diamond show, now do you perform all covers or do you do your own original?
Well, you know, it's really kind of funny because I do have a lot of originals, but it's been such a, what goes around comes around for me, all right? And the audience I have are so diverse. In order for me to sustain myself, I do a lot of covers. And it's really kind of funny because the covers that I learned when I first started singing are now hot songs. You know what I mean? That was 20 years ago. I mean, now I'm doing Brick House, Get Down on It, Ladies Night, Commodore stuff. I mean, you know, it's amazing. And even though I do have original songs that I could put in my show, by the time I get to them, it's the night's over with. Right. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, I like to include people in my show, and so that's why I do a lot of stuff, an oldie stuff and up-to-date material, where people can get involved in it.
We are looking forward to having you perform, and a lot of phone calls coming in, so we're all psyched. Yes, the legendary Lance Diamond performing with bands like Hula, including George Tateska, used to be in Goo Goo Dolls, Smoking, see? And that happens the 24th of this month at Melody Fair. Tickets are $5 through Ticketmaster. Unless you wait the day of the show, then they're $10. So get your tickets now to be able to catch acts like the legendary Lance Diamond. Thank you, Lance, once again for joining us.
I hope that before I leave, you'll give me an autograph, please.
Oh, only if you give me 5. I want 5 of yours for 1 of mine, okay? Because that's what it's worth. I'm Kit Missile for 103.3 The Edge, reporting for Nickel City Scene.
We'll bring you full coverage of Edgefest from Melody Fair in 2 weeks. We have to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll have an exclusive interview with the pioneers of Gothic rock. We'll talk with Love and Rockets next on Nickel City Scene.
Okay, hello, you rolling? This is Love and Rockets, and you're watching
Nickel City Scene.
Jackie's outfit provided by Bonwit Teller.
Love and Rockets have a rich musical history. Daniel Ash, David J., and Kevin Haskins were founding members of Bauhaus with Peter Murphy in 1979. When Bauhaus broke up in '84, Daniel Ash and Kevin Haskins formed Tones on Tail. David J. rejoined the band 1 year later, and Love and Rockets was born. Sweet F.A. is their 6th album. The record almost didn't happen when a house fire destroyed all their equipment. The band barely escaped alive, but were inspired by the disaster. Love and Rockets played the Ogden Street Concert Hall in June. We talked with the band before the show.
So tell me, why was the new album named Sweet F.A.?
Started 2 years ago in San Francisco. We were there for most of the summer a couple of years ago. Weren't satisfied with it. Went back to England, to Oxford, to a studio in Oxford. Still weren't satisfied with it. Both ourselves, well, we were at that time, by that time, American records, and particularly Rick Rubin, had criticisms on the sound of and some of the songs and the overall sound. So then they invited, American records, if you like, invited us to LA to finish it off last summer. We had a big fire, nothing left, so it seemed appropriate at the time to call it Sweet F.A. because Sweet F.A. means sweet ball, which is an English expression which means nothing, zilch, zero.
Tell me how Rick Rubin influenced Sweet F.A.
He just dried everything up, took all the reverb and delays off, and just brought out the real kind of richness of the vocals and the instruments, you know. And for me, I'd been living in America for like 5 years by that point, and to me it worked, it made sense. But
yeah, Rick Rubin, particularly vocals, he has no effects on when they're really dry, and that's sort of alien to us as a group. But also, if you listen to a lot of English pop music or rock music, it's flooded in reverb. It's much more of a subtle sound in as much as it's like a big wave that goes over you, whereas with American sort of attitude is like in your face, within the realms of rock and roll anyway, so it's like the English like their reverb still, even now.
It's interesting. Tell me about the cover of Sweet F.A.
Well, it was just the one thing that was left from the fire was the shape of that guitar, that's it. The drums completely went, I mean, we had a saxophone in there and it completely melted, it just went through the floorboards. That was the only thing that looked like a musical instrument that was left, so again it seemed like appropriate to put it on the cover.
Why did you wait 5 years before recording Hot Trip to Heaven?
2 years. Yeah, we had a break in '89 to '91, and then we started in '92. It took 2 years to make it, so like as far as the public goes, it looks like it's been about 6 years before we've been working together, but in actual fact it was like we had 24 months off in effect. And then we started on that record, that took 2 years, and then this one took 2 years to finish as well. And then, you know, the first one, it wasn't really right to go on the road with it. It wasn't like didn't suit the format of rock and roll, if you like, bass, drums and guitar, because it was all made in the studio. So.
Your past and present recordings, why are they so different from Hot Trip to Heaven?
Because we're taking different drugs, basically.
With the Hot Trip album, we wanted to, you know, come back and make some music again, but we didn't look forward to the idea of sitting in a rehearsal room and writing songs in that way. So we thought, well, let's just all show up and make it up as we go along, just be really spontaneous, and if it doesn't work within a week, then we'll, you know, do something else or whatever.
It was also taking on board all the music that had happened since our last tour in '89 in sort of acid house and that field, you know, so that came to bear, you know.
What inspired the lyrics for Sweet F.A.?
Whereas in the past we tend to sort of go on about different philosophies and religious notions, if you like, and ideas, but it's like got a very healthy dose of sexuality about it. I mean, it's something that seems to be on my mind most of the time anyways.
The single Sweet Lover Hangover has been a big hit for Love and Rockets. The band also played at the Eden Music Festival last month at Moseport Park in Canada. I'm afraid we're out of time tonight. Be sure to tune in next week for more musical talent. Write to us. Nickel City Scene is your outlet for local music. If your band has a CD, press kit, or music video, send it in. We're also looking for your comments and ideas. The address is Nickel City Scene, care of the Media Center, 2001 Main Street, Buffalo, New York, 14208. For Nickel City Scene, I'm Jackie Thurn. Thanks for watching and keep supporting local music. We'll see you next week.